Chapter 1186 Ice Soul Immortal Goo. Even though He Lu Lan obtained a lot of resources and her greatest weakness was alleviated, her gains in Dao Mark were very little. Making an estimation, it was less than 30% of the Immortal Aperture's Dao Marks. She skipped more than 10 calamities and tribulations directly. This was an immeasurable loss to He Lu Lan. Because of her having one of the 10 extreme physiques, every time she underwent tribulation, it would be extremely strong. Fortune and disaster came together. Whenever she succeeded in passing the tribulation, the Dao marks that she gained would be much greater in number. More than 10 calamities and tribulations, it was not just earthly calamities, but a heavenly tribulation as well. Considering this, her losses were huge. Even though undergoing tribulation was a dangerous thing for a bold and fierce character like He Lu Lan, she was not afraid of difficulties. She was only afraid of being ordinary. Even if I am unwilling, what can I do? I am stuck deep in the abyss. It is not up to me. He Lu Lan sighed internally. Ing Wuxie observed her appearance. Seeing He Lu Lan's gloomy expression, he smiled internally as he said, "All right, let's continue traveling." The group passed the icy tunnel, getting even deeper into the mountain. Eventually, they arrived in front of a wall of ice. Through the white wall of ice, the immortals could see countless hearts inside. These hearts were blue. There were about at least 1,000 of them. Bai Ningbing did not know of them. But Tai Bai Yunsheng screamed, "Oh heavens, these are ice hearts. They are all ice hearts." He Lu Lan's expression also changed. Not just ice hearts. There are twin ice hearts. The latter is a rank 7 immortal material, and in such quantity. Even the normally quiet Sure Nu gasped. Unimaginable. Jade Pot Mountain actually has such an abundance of wealth. If Southern Borders Goo immortals knew about this, a storm would be whipped up. In order to fight for these ice hearts, they would fight until rivers of blood flowed. Jade Pot Mountain was not uninhabited. There was a village on the mountain, with the surname Yu. Jade Pot Mountain produced jade stones and jade goo. Yu Clan Village relied on these resources for survival. Among mortal forces, Yu Clan Village, which had many rank 5 Goo masters, was very powerful. But to Goo immortals, they were not worth mentioning. Who could have thought that Jade Pot Mountain, controlled by a mortal force, could have such a quantity of rare immortal materials stacked together? Ing Wuxie sighed deeply. Jade Pot Mountain is nothing special on the surface. It is easy to ignore. Even my shadow sect also found this place due to a fortuitous encounter. But the ice hearts formed naturally here are not so high in quantity. My shadow sect's Goo immortals had secretly set up a Goo formation to turn this place into a Goo breeding ground. In the past, this place had nurtured ice heart Goo, but they had been taken away. There is still one ice heart immortal Goo here. It was not ready earlier, but now it has completely formed. Bai Ningbing, come here and retrieve this wild immortal Goo using the method I taught you. All right, Bai Ningbing said without hesitation. She took large steps ahead. Next, using Ing Wuxie's instructions, she stretched out both hands and placed them on the wall of ice, which was covered in frost energy. Without using any defensive methods, Bai Ningbing's hands were completely frozen. Frost energy assaulted her as a thick layer of frost formed on her arms. He Lu Lan saw this and raised her eyebrows. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to speak. He had an expression of pity. Ing Wuxie smiled lightly. Sure. Nu was expressionless, not saying a word. Bai Ningbing endured the intense pain as frost energy traveled through her body from her arms. Soon, she felt her body turning stiff. Even her mind was becoming frozen. The intense threat of death assaulted her in both body and mind. But she was unmoved. Inside her clear blue eyes, a firm, determined gaze could be seen. She was even more stubborn and cold than this ice wall. Endure it. Even if I die, it is nothing much. Humph, dying from frost like this, it is interesting too, isn't it? Furthermore, Shadow Sect suffered a huge blow. They need manpower. Ing Wuxie tried so hard to recruit me. How could he let me die like this? As expected, a change occurred in front of Bai Ningbing. Inside the wall of ice, the blue ice hearts were shaking together. The vibrations were small initially, but got more intense with time. More than 10 breaths of time later, the wall of ice made a loud sound. Cracks were forming before the immortal's eyes. Soon, They were covering the wall of ice like a spider web. One of the cracks went deep into the interior of the wall. The aura of immortal goo leaked out. Tai Bai Yunsheng almost wanted to help out. This was a wild immortal goo. It was very hard to catch. If they did not take action now, it would be too late. But Ing Wuxia was unmoved. He watched silently. Since he kept motionless, He Lulan and Shirnu also did not act. Bai Ningbing could not move. She was completely frozen. Frost energy had permeated her entire body. She was close to death. But this person who was dying greatly attracted that wild immortal goo which had broken out of the ice. This wild immortal goo flew over slowly, entering Bai Ningbing's hold, in the immortal's vision. This immortal goo was about the size of a baby's fist, resembling a spider with a white body and 8 claws, as well as a back with blue flowery markings that showed the appearance of a vengeful ghost screaming. Rank 6 Ice Soul Immortal Goo. Bai Ning Bing focused her mind, opening her phantom aperture's entrance. Ice Soul Immortal Goo directly flew in. When the phantom aperture's entrance closed, Ing Wuxia immediately acted, healing Bai Ningbing's injuries, dragging her back from the edge of death. Good. Ice Soul Immortal Goo is already in your aperture. It has nowhere to escape. Refining it will be extremely easy. Ing Wuxia clapped and smiled. He Lulan's gaze shined. She suddenly spoke. I understand. This Ice Soul Immortal Goo has a close connection to Bai Ningbing, because Bai Ningbing has the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique. Indeed, the aura of the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique has an intense attraction to Ice Soul Immortal Goo. Thus, I asked Bai Ningbing to capture it without using any defensive methods. It was to completely release the aura of the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique without any concealment. Ing Wuxia nodded, explaining, but if Bai Ningbing's vitality was too high, the wild Ice Soul Immortal Goo would hesitate. Thus, only when Bai Ningbing was on the verge of death would Ice Soul Immortal Goo feel that she was no threat and go towards her automatically. So that's it. Tai Bai Yunsheng realized. Lord Feng Yuan is so wise. The loyal Shirnu also said, Ha! Ing Wuxia raised his head and laughed. My shadow sect is huge and has many resources. Being with me will give you all great benefits. Like this wall of ice, my shadow sect had spent 1,000 years mimicking a natural environment, creating this goo refinement ground. The cultivation methods that my shadow sect has are unimaginable to all of you. If your aptitude is low, we will raise it. If you have few Dao marks, we will increase them. Everything is possible. He Lulan's heart shook. Ing Wuxia's final words were clearly directed at her. This fellow, he has learned how to be a true leader. He is really improving rapidly. Before He Lulan could continue thinking, Ing Wuxia waved his hand. We're leaving. Next, we will take over by Xiang Grotto Heaven. Northern Plains. I skipped too few calamities and tribulations. Feng Yuan sighed. He was not happy about this at almost the same time as He Lulan, who was unhappy over her major losses, wanting to skip as few calamities and tribulations as possible. Feng Yuan sighed. The number of calamities and tribulations skipped did not match his expectations that, if possible, he wanted to be a rank 7 Gu immortal at the very next moment. The endless number of battles in He Fan Grotto Heaven made Feng Yuan realize his biggest flaw. His cultivation level was too low. His green grape immortal essence was not efficient as Feng Yuan's identity got more complex. The dangers he faced also became greater than in the past. Feng Yuan could control the future well, because he was alone. Now that he had many alliance agreements, he could not help himself. And with the trip to Eastern Sea, he did not manage to exterminate Shadow Sect. The growth of Ing Wuxia and the rest made Feng Yuan feel immense pressure. Thus, he would rather sacrifice his future potential and raise his battle strength rapidly. Without the present, how can there be a future? Potential is good, but to have room for development, one needs to spend time. The true attitude for cultivation is to be practical. Everything is for the sake of our present reality. Feng Yuan's losses were even more severe than He Lulan's, but he did not feel any pity or loss. He had a resolute and determined gaze. But Han Dong had already gone through 2 heavenly tribulations and more than 20 earthly calamities. I annexed his immortal aperture, but I only progressed by 4 earthly calamities. Is this because the sovereign immortal aperture is too big? The effect of skipping calamities and tribulations from annexing immortal apertures is not very evident. Fang Yuan thought about it from all angles. He felt that the sovereign immortal aperture was the cause. Rank 6 Gu immortals face an earthly calamity every 10 years, and a heavenly tribulation every 100 years. After 300 years, after 3 heavenly tribulations, they would become rank 7. During this process, if it was split into 3, Fang Yuan was nearly 1/3 done. This is not fast enough. I need to hit rank 7 as soon as possible. It would give me a huge boost in battle strength in terms of sustainability. Financially, I will also grow rapidly. If only Han Dong Blessed Land is not enough, I will have to annex more immortal apertures. Even though the gains in Dao marks cannot compare to undergoing tribulation myself, I can save a lot of time. I can deal with challenges and dangers from all aspects more easily now. Furthermore, when annexing blessed lands, I get all of their Dao marks without any losses. Even though it is still a loss, I just need to kill some Gu immortals to make up for it. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan had a ruthless light flashing in his eyes. After uncovering another advantage of the sovereign immortal aperture, Fang Yuan discovered a new way to cultivate. His original method was to go with the natural flow, undergoing tribulations and obtaining a great number of Dao marks and true meaning. But this method was too slow. His battle strength rose slowly. What grew the most was his immortal aperture's foundation. It was not suited for Fang Yuan. It would only make his situation more dangerous. Currently, Fang Yuan was going to use the method of annexing immortal apertures and skipping calamities and tribulations to rapidly raise his cultivation level. When his cultivation level rises, his battle strength would also rise. Fang Yuan would use his new battle strength to kill more enemies and annex their apertures. To avoid undergoing tribulation himself, it could also allow his immortal aperture's foundation to grow, and he would gain Dao marks as well. This method allowed Fang Yuan's battle strength to grow at the fastest speed, but his immortal aperture's foundation would increase more slowly. But it was suited for Fang Yuan's situation. It allowed him to have a better chance at survival. Both cultivation methods could create a cycle of benefits for him. They just had their own advantages and strengths. Chapter 1187. Fang Yuan's Cultivation Opportunity. Chapter 1187. Fang Yuan's Cultivation Opportunity Immortal Killer Move. Days passed like years. Countless Gu worms flew in the sky. Expending green grape immortal essence as a grand light filled the entire sovereign immortal aperture. Splash, splash, splash. The tributary of the river of time in the sovereign immortal aperture showed its true form. It could be seen with the naked eye. Under the power of days passed like years, this tributary of the river of time shrank. The river's surface became thinner. Huff! Letting out a breath, Fang Yuan finally relaxed. I succeeded. The immortal aperture's rate of time has greatly slowed down. The interval between my calamities and tribulations have lengthened drastically. After confirming that the killer move succeeded, Fang Yuan retracted all of his concentration. Right now, he was inside his cloud city in Langya Blessed Land. After annexing Han Dong Blessed Land, Fang Yuan immediately returned. Tai Chiu was too dangerous. While Fang Yuan's dark limit had a time-limited effect, Heaven's Will was plotting to kill Fang Yuan at all times. Now that his immortal aperture time was slowed down, the following calamities and tribulations were far away. Fang Yuan felt relaxed. All of a sudden, his pressure diminished. He had undergone careful consideration before making this decision. Since he changed his cultivation method, he did not need to undergo tribulations so frequently. Annexing blessed lands could allow him to skip calamities and tribulations. This effect had nothing to do with the rate of time in his own blessed land. The most important thing now were blessed lands. Where could he find more blessed lands? Fang Yuan first thought of who immortal blessed land and star form blessed land in Central Continent. But soon, he disregarded this unrealistic idea that it was impossible. Central Continent was a dangerous territory. The 10 ancient sects along with Heavenly Court, which had deeper foundation than Longevity Heaven, would want nothing more than to kill Fang Yuan. Like Howing Wu Xie and the rest fled from Central Continent. For Fang Yuan, it was also a death zone. Some time ago, Star Form Blessed Land faced its calamities and tribulations. The land spirit wrote to Fang Yuan. sobbing while asking for help. Feng Yuan ignored it, only sending some mortal goo and immortal essence to the land spirit, asking it to save itself. Star-form blessed land was in such straits. The exposed to immortal blessed land was even more out of the question. Feng Yuan thought of Luo Pa Valley. Or more accurately, the location that Luo Pa Valley was previously at. There was an intense battle at Luo Pa Valley, with Feng Jiugu leading the Central Continent Gu Immortals to fight against Shadow Sect's Northern Plains branch with Qin Bai Sheng as the leader. They went through an intense battle, with victory going to the Central Continent Gu Immortals in the En Deed At Luo Pa Valley's original location. There were many Gu Immortals' blessed lands. These blessed lands are in Northern Plains. Can I go over and take them? This was an alluring idea, but Feng Yuan hesitated for a while, and soon after, he gave up on this option as well, because this choice carried great risks. Even though this battle was hidden and the Gu Immortals of Northern Plains did not know about it, Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects and Heavenly Court knew about it, as well as Shadow Sect themselves. After Gu Immortals die, blessed lands, or grotto heavens, would be formed outside. These blessed lands, or grotto heavens, contain the resources accumulated by the Gu Immortals over their lifetimes. No matter how affluent a force was, they would try all ways to reclaim these resources. Since Central Continent could send people to Northern Plains for investigation of 88 true Yang buildings collapse, then they can naturally send others to reclaim those blessed lands. And Shadow Sect, too, would want to take these blessed lands back. I did not go there earlier. There is no way I am going there now. Feng Yuan's decision was very wise, because right now, the person secretly helping Central Continent to reclaim these immortal apertures was the rank 8 Gu Immortal Prince Feng Xian. If Feng Yuan was blindly hopeful and went there on his own, Prince Feng Xian would probably laugh even in his sleep. Seeing how Feng Yuan went to him on his own without any effort exerted, Feng Yuan thought of Eastern Sea next. Eastern Sea's turbulent flow sea area. At its center, there were islands in Bubbles. Point 1 of the islands contained the secluded domain of heaven and earth, City Well, and inside City Well, there were lots of Gu Immortals' blessed lands. These Gu Immortals were all slammed to death by Feng Yuan using the effect of City Well to amplify Giant Hand's power. He even went inside these blessed lands at the moment they were placed down, and went inside to scavenge for resources. The most alluring one was Ding Qi blessed land. Ding Qi was a blood path rank 7 Gu Immortal. He self-detonated before dying, not leaving any resources, immortal Gu, or soul for Feng Yuan, but his immortal aperture remained. Even though Feng Yuan could annex his immortal aperture, he did not do so on the spot. Firstly, Ding Qi Blessed Land's land spirit had a difficult requirement for ownership. It needed Feng Yuan to complete the blood path immortal Gu recipe of blood revenge. If Feng Yuan still had the light of wisdom, he could rapidly complete this. But now, wisdom Gu could not be used, and blood revenge immortal Gu was less than 10% complete. If Feng Yuan wanted to complete this immortal Gu recipe, even with his blood path grandmaster attainment level, he would need to spend a lot of time and effort on it. The cost was not worth the gain. And secondly, Feng Yuan's previous cultivation method placed emphasis on potential. He went through tribulations one by one. If he annexed Ding Qi blessed land, it would go against his plan, but now was different. Firstly, Feng Yuan did not achieve his goal in this Eastern Sea trip. Even though he weakened Ing Wu Xie and gang, he did not kill them once and for all. Feng Yuan had a deep understanding of Ing Wu Xie. Their development speed surpassed his. The next time they met, he would be on the defensive. There was also the variant human alliance, Hei Fan Grotto Heavens contest, joining Chu's sect, and the crazed demon agreement that was coming soon. His status was getting more complex. Feng Yuan felt trapped inside a vortex. In lots of situations, he could not do what he wanted. The alliance agreements were restricting his freedom. Times were different now. As the situation continued to change, Feng Yuan realized he too needed to change. His cultivation experiences in the 500 years of his previous life gave him keen instinct towards how he should continue his future developments, as well as impending threats. He had a strong feeling that if he did not make a change, the future was going to be very bleak. Realizing the sovereign immortal aperture's special trait, and annexing blessed lands was just such an opportunity. I am a blood path grandmaster. Annexing a rank 7 blessed land is not a problem in terms of attainment level. But a smaller immortal aperture cannot devour a bigger one. What does the bigger here mean? If it referred to cultivation level, Feng Yuan's rank 6 immortal aperture could not annex the rank 7 Ding Qi blessed land. But if it referred to the immortal aperture's foundation, then the sovereign immortal aperture could definitely devour the rank 7 Ding Qi blessed land easily. Feng Yuan needed an answer to this question that it was not hard to get. He just needed to try. But other than that, there is another problem, the land spirit's acknowledgement. The acknowledgement of Ding Qi land spirit is quite difficult to get. I can't satisfy it currently. But if I attempt to use force, the land spirit would be destroyed, and the blessed land would be destroyed as well, creating the winds of assimilation. When these winds of assimilation blow in City Well, will it implicate the other immortal apertures? Will it destroy City Well directly? Feng Yuan had thought about this problem back in Eastern Sea. Thus, he did not forcefully attempt to get those blessed lands that destroy the land spirit, while keeping the blessed land intact. It would need to absorb a fragment of the immemorial 9 heavens. But only Grotto Heavens could absorb fragments of the immemorial 9 heavens, like Hei Fan Grotto Heaven. Even though Feng Yuan destroyed the heavenly spirit, it still existed. It was because this Grotto Heaven world had absorbed a fragment of the immemorial 9 heavens. But that was not the case for land spirits, and the turbulent flow sea area was far away in Eastern Sea. Taking a journey there and back would use a lot of Feng Yuan's time. Heavens might even be plotting to prevent Feng Yuan from obtaining City Well. Feng Yuan thought about it carefully. He found another problem limiting his annexing of immortal apertures that it was attainment level. Feng Yuan was not Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. The latter had high attainment levels in every path. He could easily absorb blessed lands into the sovereign immortal aperture, but Feng Yuan could not. Or rather, Shadow Sect refined sovereign immortal fetus goo in order to devour immortal apertures. Feng Yuan realized that if he did not take sovereign immortal fetus goo and allowed Spectral Soul to revive, then his development would be at an incredibly shocking speed. He had the most bloodthirsty nature among the venerables. He had many killer moves. After killing goo immortals, he could either take their main path's Dao marks and give up on the immortal aperture to raise his Dao mark foundation, or annex the immortal aperture and skip calamities and tribulations, resetting the counting of his impending tribulation. The two methods could be used in conjunction in the most efficient way. No wonder Spectral Soul managed to succeed in my previous life. No wonder heavens will tried all means possible to send me to the past and stop him. Thinking of this, Feng Yuan's gaze subconsciously moved towards the south, towards the direction of southern border. Feng Yuan knew that the giant dream realm was there. A trace of Spectral Soul's remnant soul was there. It was the target that Ing Wu Xie and the rest were desperately trying to save. Attainment level, dream realm. Southern border. Feng Yuan's body shook. He suddenly thought of something. The thoughts in his mind became extremely clear at this moment. The cultivation opportunity one need is in southern border. It is there, Snowy Mountain, first peak. The refinement path goo formation was still activated. Lady Wan Shou was energetic, appearing in front of Ma Hongyun again. That Hongyun saw her, and his hair stood on end. He screamed, "You are here to shock me again. You want to shock me again? Good that you know." Lady Wan Shou smiled, pushing the lightning ball in her hand towards him. "Oh." Ma Hongyun was twitching from the pain. His eyes rolled back, but he did not foam saliva from his mouth at the same time. His voice was very clear. If one listened closely, it was rhythmic. All in all, he lasted for a while before fainting. His cultivation level rose again. Also, he lasted 30% longer this time against the lightning refinement. Lady Wan Shou frowned as she observed. From the eyes, nose, and ears, blood was flowing out. This was the backlash of goo refinement. But Lady Wan Shou had experienced it many times. She was used to this backlash. Her healing process was also very rapid and efficient. It is a bit troublesome. The more times Ma Hongyun undergoes lightning refinement, the stronger his resistance, and the more likely this crucial step is to fail. What should I do? Change the refinement method? No. If I change the method now, I will need to change the entire immortal goo recipe. Half of the materials we found earlier would be unusable. Snowy Mountain cannot bear such a cost anymore. Lady One Show sighed to herself, feeling extremely worried. Chapter 1188, Crazed Demon Agreement. Some days later, Northern Plains, Crazed Demon Cave. Lu Guanyi, we have been waiting for you. Not Immortal came to the first layer, welcoming Fong Yuan, and Chu Du. The three conversed as they got deeper into the cave. Fong Yuan discovered that the route this time was slightly different from the previous time he came here. Are the demonic sounds recently very frequent? Fong Yuan asked. They are getting more frequent now. Thus, our travel route also has to be modified. Once the demonic sounds start, down marks will go into chaos. Not only will the desolate beast go crazy, the terrain will also change. Not Immortal explained that a moment later, they saw Pang Shan. Pang Shan woke up from his slumber, his eyes opened slightly. You are here again, Brother Chu. He seemed to have a good relationship with Chu Du. Next, he looked at Fong Yuan. Brother Lu, I know about your capabilities. Let's talk in depth after the Crazed Demon Agreement. Fong Yuan asked, how will we establish the Crazed Demon Agreement? We will need to go down to the third last layer. I can't move easily. I will not go with you. Pang Shan said vaguely. His explanation was as good as nothing. Follow me. Not Immortal continued to lead the way. The three immortals continued to go down. The deeper they went, the more turns they had to make. Sometimes, the straight distance seemed to be short, but they had to make a long detour. Believe me, detours are much faster than walking straight in this place. Not Immortal smiled. Chu Du nodded, pointing out to Fong Yuan. When we get there, don't be too surprised. Fong Yuan felt some curiosity and anticipation. A while later, through a cavern entrance, Fong Yuan officially stepped into the third last layer of Crazed Demon Cave. His vision was covered by bright, glorious lights. All sorts of colors were emanated from the rocks, soil, and grass in this place. Fong Yuan sucked in a deep breath. These are all lights of Dao marks. Only quasi-rank 9 immortal materials can radiate such lights. The Dao marks here are so dense that every piece of soil and rock is a quasi-rank 9 immortal material. Not Immortal laughed. Brother Lu makes sense, but these immortal materials have chaotic Dao marks. They cannot be used. Chu Du saw Fong Yuan's shock and smiled. Back then, when I first came here, I suffered the same shock. Not Immortal ended his laughter. The Dao marks here are extremely dense. It is not as simple as just emitting the lights of Dao marks. There is almost a state of a battlefield killer move in here. Moving here is extremely difficult. Brother Lu, why don't you try? Fong Yuan quickly shook his head. Not Immortal, since you say this, I will believe you. No need to try. Not Immortal looked at Chu Du, smiling. Brother Lu is smarter than a certain person. Back then, he refused to believe it. He wanted to charge in. I could not change his mind, and in the end, he suffered a lot. Chu Du rubbed his nose, admitting to Fong Yuan. Not Immortal is talking about me. I spent 3 years to recover from that injury. Don't look down at the Dao marks here. This place is extremely dangerous. Each step you take is precarious. I'll teach you a secret. Try to get close to the Dao marks of your own path. That can make your traveling easier and face the least obstruction. Not Immortal nodded. That is true. I am a rule path Gu Immortal. I have to try walking on places with more rule path Dao marks. And I cultivate strength path. I need to get close to the strength path Dao marks. Thus, in the following journey, we cannot help you. You have to walk on your own, Brother Lu. Chu Du said with concern. Fong Yuan nodded. Not Immortal stepped forward first. I will go first, Brother Lu. Watch carefully. Fong Yuan concentrated as he looked. Not Immortal's every step was very vigilant. The first 10 steps were very easy. He could move calmly, but after 10 steps, it became difficult. After 20 steps, his movements were stiff. It was like a formless force was weighing on him. After 30 steps, Not Immortal was perspiring profusely. At the 42nd step, he stopped for the first time, breathing roughly as he turned to ask Fong Yuan. Brother Lu, did you manage to watch that? Chu Du laughed. Not Immortal. Stop acting. You are clearly unable to continue. You still tried to ask Brother Lu a question to conceal the fact that you stopped. Not Immortal was exposed. He was embarrassed and snapped. Oh Chu Du, I want to see how many steps you can take. Can you go as far as me? Chu Du snorted. Would I be afraid of you? Watch closely. Before he finished his words, he took large steps forward on the down marks in the area. Initially, his speed was faster than Not Immortal. He moved like a dragon or tiger. Not Immortal's expression was dark. But soon, Chu Du took a wrong step and the light of down marks below him burst out. Chu Du grunted. His body shook as he spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. He was heavily injured. His momentum was lost, but he did not stop. Chu Du endured his injuries as he continued to walk step by step, as slow as a snail. Eventually, he took 38 and 39 steps. By the 40th step, he could no longer continue. His final burst of strength was used up, that he stopped. I could not compare to you after all. Chu Du wiped the blood from his mouth, sighing. Not Immortal was very shocked. He stared at Chu Du with wide eyes. Domination Immortal. You actually improved so much since last time. I am ashamed. I have stayed in Crazed Demon Cave for so long. I have walked along this place hundreds of times more than you. I have such a huge advantage, but I only managed to take 42 steps. Chu Du laughed. All right, don't flatter me. I know you did not use your full strength. You were trying to salvage my face. Not Immortal did not deny it. He chuckled. Even so, your improvement is beyond my imagination. You are truly a genius at strength path cultivation, domination Immortal. Indeed, as the saying goes, titles are never wrong. Chu Du laughed heartily, waving his hand. All right, let's stop the flattery. Next, we will see Brother Lu's performance. The two immortals turned around and watched Feng Yuan. Feng Yuan nodded. Don't laugh at me when I embarrass myself. Brother Lu, relax. This is your first time here. You should focus on the feeling of walking here. Don't be obsessed over the number of steps. Not Immortal said. Chu Du laughed instead. Haha. Don't worry, Brother Lu. I will remember your pathetic state later. I walked 22 steps when I first came here. If you cannot beat me, I will laugh at you forever. Huh. Feng Yuan laughed too. It was a harmonious scene. But in truth, he understood internally. These two are purposely probing me. Even though Chu Du recommended me, they are not confident in my ability to explore this place. Thus they created this situation. They are working together, purposely asking me to walk alone. They want to probe my foundation. If I perform too poorly and am of no help to them, they might not even set the Crazed Demon agreement with me. Involving Limitless Demon Venerable and the secret of eternal life, Feng Yuan made up his mind to put up a good show, to display his strength for Not Immortal, and Chu Du. Feng Yuan's eyes shined with a mysterious light. He breathed in deeply and firmly stood on the ground. As he took a step forward, he chose the route with the most transformation path down marks. But at the next moment, Feng Yuan's expression changed. Haha. Chu Du observed his expression and laughed at the same time as Feng Yuan's changing expression. Brother Lu, watching alone is useless. Can you feel the pressure already? Feng Yuan felt extremely mystified on the inside, but he showed no flaws on his expression. He did not answer Chu Du. He kept quiet and continued walking forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, like this. Feng Yuan took more than 10 steps forward. Feng Yuan's weird feeling intensified. What is going on? Why do I feel no obstruction? I have already taken more than 10 steps. It feels like I am walking on normal ground. This was not normal. Feng Yuan soon guessed that the situation was caused by his sovereign immortal body. Chu Du and Not Immortal face pressure because of the conflicting Dao marks. There are a lot of Dao marks here, while the Gu immortals also have a lot of Dao marks in their bodies. So even though they took one step at a time, walking on paths with rule path or strength path Dao marks, the surrounding Dao marks are nearby and will still pressure and reject them. But I am different. The Dao marks here are not immortal killer moves. They have no offensive power. They cannot influence me. Of course, this is just my guess. The truth might not be like this. Feng Yuan thought as he continued walking, taking a few more steps ahead. Not Immortal, and Chu Du's expressions changed mildly. This Lu Guan Yi is so strong. Not Immortal was extremely shocked. He is almost at the 20th step. He can still move so calmly. The first time I came, every step was difficult. I had to exert all my effort. It was a pathetic sight. Chu Du recalled his own experience. Compared to the situation in front of him, His pride and self-confidence was taking a huge beating that a thought appeared in his mind uncontrollably. Don't tell me. This Lu Guan Yi is an even greater genius in cultivating transformation path compared to me and strength path? He has even higher attainment level. Actually, Feng Yuan was trying his best to conceal himself that he pretended to be panting, like he was very tired, but his acting was in reference to Chu Du and not immortal earlier. They had gone through this many times. They were experienced. They could maintain their composure. Even though Feng Yuan showed a pathetic sight, he was just slightly weaker than them. Eventually, Feng Yuan stopped at the 20th step, smiling. I am about the same as you, Brother Chu. Chu Du looked at Feng Yuan with deep meaning. Brother Lu, you have not gone all out. Feng Yuan smiled bitterly. I am barely holding on. If I continue, I will start spitting out blood. Chu Du's smile was even more bitter than his. I will not lie to Brother Lu. The first time I came here, I started spitting out blood at the 10th step. Chapter 1189. Huge rise in cultivation level. Feng Yuan's heart jumped. He realized that his performance had gone overboard. But this was just a small mistake. It was not a problem. Let's continue moving. We can set the alliance agreement before talking more. Not Immortal smiled. His attitude was much warmer than before. Feng Yuan's earlier performance made Not Immortal's evaluation of him rise by several levels. The three traveled in the land of Dao marks with much difficulty. As they moved forward, Dao marks were denser, the obstruction was greater. Of course, this was referring to Not Immortal and Chu Du, but Feng Yuan also faced a lot of difficulty, having to pretend he was having a tough time, so that Chu Du and Not Immortal would not be suspicious of him. The three immortals walked and rested. The short journey took them 15 minutes. Eventually, they came to a rock. A newcomer? The rock suddenly spoke, as smoke rose up from the rock before vanishing. The rock had turned into a skinny and short Gu immortal. He had a goatee. He was at the height of Feng Yuan's knee, and his tiny eyes were shining brilliantly. This is one of the three crazed demon eccentrics. Wisdom Path Gu Immortal Secret Schemer. Chu Du introduced at an appropriate timing. Feng Yuan gasped in his mind. This person is actually Secret Schemer. He concealed his expression perfectly, acting like he had heard it for the first time, immediately greeting. Hello, I am Lu Guan Yi of Transformation Path. A day later. Brother Lu, Brother Chu, you are leaving so soon. Aren't you staying for a few more days? At the first layer of Crazed Demon Cave, Not Immortal tried to ask them to stay. No, Chu Du smiled bitterly and rejected. You also know about Northern Plains situation. I recently created Chu Du and allied with by Zhu tribe. Right now, the righteous path is targeting our lone cultivator sect. They cannot stand us. They are gathering members to deal with us. Not Immortal side. These are external worldly affairs. What is there that you cannot part with? Fame and reputation. Will they still remain after death? In The Legends of Ren Zhu, after Verdant Great Sun died, his soul went to the door of life and death. He stayed in pacifying Soul Lake as reputation Gu left him. Only eternal life is the worthy goal and pursuit of us Gu immortals. Chu Du had a determined expression. I will make sure strength path flourishes. This is a promise I made to someone. If I cannot achieve it, I will not live in peace. Feng Yuan could not help but look at Chu Du. This was the first time he had heard Chu Du say his aspiration. Chu Du's expression of sincerity did not seem to be fake. It seems that there is a story behind Chu Du cultivating strength path. Feng Yuan was thinking about this when Not Immortal asked him, Brother Lu, you have a lot of potential. Why don't you stay here? Feng Yuan smiled. I came here this time to sign the Crazed Demon Agreement. Now that it is done, I have other matters to settle. Not Immortal actually thought more highly of Feng Yuan, mainly because Feng Yuan's performance this time left a deep impression on him. Feng Yuan was more confident than Not Immortal in this aspect. He felt that he could even run freely in the third last layer's Dao mark landscape. But if he did that, it would be too shocking. The jaws of the three crazed demon eccentrics would drop. I have not seen the bottom and second last layers yet. I cannot assess them. But the third last layer is not a problem. Derivation Gu is at the bottom layer, but with the three crazed demon eccentrics guarding it, I cannot act alone. Feng Yuan felt it was somewhat of a pity point. One day, he would return to Crazed Demon Cave. using his advantage to explore the place. But now was not the time that he had to raise his cultivation level. That was the most important matter .as for derivation goo. Even if Feng Yuan obtained it, what use would it have? It was a rank 9 immortal goo. Feng Yuan thought back to wisdom goo. He could neither use it, nor would he know how to. It would be a huge burden if he actually obtained it. Other than eternal life, everything else is temporary. Brother Liu, how long would you need? Not immortal asked. He did not want to let a useful person like Feng Yuan go. Feng Yuan's gaze shined, looking at Chu Du. Actually, I am a member of Chu's sect. Right now the Huangjin tribes are attacking Chu's sect. I need to help them. Chu Du knew that Feng Yuan was using him as an excuse, but hearing this, he still felt warmed internally. Sigh. You guys, never mind. Not Immortal saw that he could not convince Feng Yuan and gave up. Feng Yuan and Chu Du said goodbye to Not Immortal before flying towards the sky. On the way back, Feng Yuan asked Chu Du about the situation in Northern Plains, as well as the difficulties Chu's sect was currently facing. Feng Yuan had also undergone the crazed demon agreement. His relationship with Chu Du had deepened again. Chu Du did not conceal it from him. He smiled bitterly. Right now, I feel great pressure too. Even though Chu's sect allied with Baizu tribe, we are against an enemy with tens or hundreds of times our strength. But they are not unified and have their own territories. They can only deploy limited Gu immortals. And they are in the righteous path. They talk about rules and reputation. We still have a chance. When are they coming? Feng Yuan asked the crucial question. Chu Du chuckled. Far from now. Even though they are spreading news everywhere and saying harsh words, they are still far from setting off. These Huangjin tribes have their own conflicts and disagreements. They need to consider a lot of things. Things are not as simple for them as us demonic path members. Feng Yuan nodded. Chu Du's words made him gain even clearer insight and analysis of the current situation in Northern Plains. Chu Du looked at Feng Yuan. This might sound presumptuous, but Brother Liu, your transformation path has already reached Great Grandmaster attainment level? What? Not yet. Feng Yuan replied. Even if you are not a Great Grandmaster, you are at least quasi-Great Grandmaster. Chu Du said with much self-confidence. Feng Yuan laughed, asking instead, how did you know? Chu Du chuckled. I deduced it from your performance with the Dao marks. The higher your attainment level, the easier it is to explore Crazed Demon Cave. Not Immortal was shocked by my improvement. That was because I had recently attained a qualitative improvement in my Strength Path attainment level. Chu Du stared at Feng Yuan. His gaze contained deep meaning. Feng Yuan knew that he was trying to ask about the killer move Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture. After all, Chu Du was only using Calamity beckoning Immortal Gu to gain some benefits from Feng Yuan. The core method that could draw out Reckless Savage's true meaning had been kept secret by Feng Yuan. He did not reveal any of it. Feng Yuan knew what Chu Du was trying to ask, but he pretended not to know, saying, Oh, I see. After saying those 3 words, there was no follow-up. They continued traveling quietly. Disappointment flashed deep in Chu Du's eyes. He had been desiring Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture all along, but in this situation, that was no longer the focus. Thus, Chu Du asked very vaguely. He knew that a clever person like Feng Yuan would understand what he was trying to say. But Feng Yuan replied with 3 words. Oh, I see. Chu Du immediately understood. Feng Yuan had rejected him, like how Chu Du asked very subtly. Feng Yuan's answer was the same. Oh, I see. It meant that Feng Yuan's method to draw out true meaning was not for sale. He rejected a transaction. I can only forget about it for now. Chu Du felt it was a pity, but he was very rational. In this situation, he had to deepen his cooperation with Feng Yuan. He could not worsen their relationship. Feng Yuan did not return to Hei Fan Grotto Heaven with Chu Du halfway through the journey. He parted with Chu Du. Feng Yuan flew towards the southwest direction. Some days later, he landed on an ordinary-looking mound. According to Xue Songzi's memories, this is the place. Feng Yuan looked around. Confirming that he had arrived at the right place, he started to activate his Immortal Gu. After a while, the Immortal Killer move activated successfully, and he found the location of a blessed land accurately. His Immortal Gu and Immortal Killer move were borrowed from Heavenly Lord Baizu. For this, he paid a huge price. However, it was completely worth it for Feng Yuan. Found it. Feng Yuan's eyes shined. He summoned the upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle carried Feng Yuan and flew in a circle a few times, before piercing through space and bringing him into a new blessed land. The owner of this blessed land had cultivated Earth Path during his life. Thus, this blessed land was covered in black rotten mud. Many small mud monsters were rolling around here from time to time. A desolate beast giant mud monster would jump up from the soil like a huge black tidal wave that a small mud man with a green strand of grass coming from its head floated and came to Feng Yuan. Bababa. The small mud man spoke, talking to Feng Yuan. Feng Yuan listened and understood what it was saying, that he could not help but look at the mud below him, muttering, "To become the owner of the blessed land, I need to defeat 5 desolate beast mud monsters at once." Easy. The acknowledgement requirement of this Earth Path blessed land was difficult for most rank 6s, but for Feng Yuan, it was very simple. Feng Yuan was not unfamiliar with Earth Path. In fact, due to his previous life's experiences, his Earth Path attainment level was at master level. After annexing this Earth Path blessed land, his mini-western desert gained a huge swamp. For the following month, Feng Yuan went around everywhere, finding blessed lands and annexing them. The upper extreme heavenly eagle displayed immense value. Feng Yuan easily got into blessed lands to explore them. The information of these blessed lands was basically obtained from the Gu immortal souls that Feng Yuan captured: Dong Feng Chong Fan, Zheng Ling, Shuesong Zi, and the 9 Gu immortals in Hei Fan Grotto Heaven, as well as the countless Gu immortal souls from the turbulent Flow Sea area, and of course, Hei Chung, who was alive. Counting them all, Feng Yuan had a large number of Gu immortal captives. These captives had been soul-searched many times. He obtained all of their intel. Feng Yuan's cultivation level rose tremendously. He skipped calamities and tribulations time and time again. The space and resources in the sovereign immortal aperture also increased each time he succeeded, rising time and time again. Feng Yuan had long since passed his first heavenly tribulation, by the time Feng Yuan returned to Langya blessed land. In this short period of time, he had already passed 2 heavenly tribulations. He was a rank 6 Gu immortal who was only 3 earthly calamities away from his 3rd heavenly tribulation. Chapter 1190, Blood Plain Martial Competition. Northern Plains, Fengxian Grotto Heaven. Rank 8 Gu immortal Prince Fengxian was silently sitting with his eyes shut. Flames were burning around him, like clothes fluttering in the sky. They were dazzling and brilliant, dancing like dragons or snakes. Extraordinary. Right now, Prince Fengxian opened his mouth, spitting out small pearls of flame. The pearls of flame grew with the wind. In a breath of time, they expanded to become orange-red fireballs with the size of a baby's head. The fireballs circled around Prince Fengxian's body, flying up and down, left and right. Next, Prince Fengxian opened his mouth again, spitting out another pearl of flame, and a while later, Prince Fengxian already had 8 fireballs around him. They were flying around, crashing into one another. They moved in a profound trail, circling around Prince Fengxian endlessly. Right at this time, Prince Fengxian suddenly opened his eyes. An unbelievably sharp light burst out from his eyes. It was extremely dazzling. Bam, bam, bam. The 8 fireballs self-detonated one by one, turning into flickers of flames, dissipating. I failed again. I did not manage to deduce any trace of Feng Yuan. Prince Fengxian's eyes were shining. He stared at the fireballs that were gone. If his deduction succeeded, these flames would instantly draw Feng Yuan's location, as well as what he was doing. Evidently, Prince Fengxian had failed once more, that he learned nothing. I am not a wisdom path Gu immortal after all. I was just mimicking wisdom path. I cannot deduce Feng Yuan's true location. Prince Fengxian sighed. He was tasked to capture Feng Yuan, but the problem was, he had hidden himself too deeply. Most of the time, he was inside a blessed land and did not come out. As long as blessed lands and grotto heavens did not absorb fragments of the 9 heavens, they would be a completely different world isolated from the 5 regions. Even Fairy Ziwei cannot deduce anything. Prince Fengxian primarily cultivated fire path. He naturally could not. Of course, Feng Yuan would go outside as well. but he had familiar face and dark limit immortal goo. Together with his dark path down marks, Feng Yuan could conceal his traces every time he traveled. Lord Feng Xian, Gong tribe is here. They want to meet you. At this moment, a female goo immortal dressed in yellow came to the hall and reported. She was beautiful like a flower. She had watery eyes and peach-like lips. She was one of Prince Feng Xian's 2 female goo immortal attendants. Lu Yao, Gong tribe is here? Humph. Prince Feng Xian frowned, not meeting them. But Gong tribe's goo immortal brought the longevity edict. Lu Yao hesitated. Prince Feng Xian smiled lightly. So what if they have the longevity edict? It can control the Huang Jin bloodline, but I am not one of them. Lu Yao pouted. But Lord, did you forget, we are now spies inside Northern Plains. You are still a son-in-law of Gong tribe on the surface, an external supreme elder. If you defy the longevity edict openly, would it not be a problem? Ha ha ha. Prince Feng Xian laughed heartily. Lu Yao, you are only half right. Longevity heaven is not to be underestimated. It is a rank 9 grotto heaven. It has giant sun immortal venerables foundation and is unfathomably deep. It is simply like Central Continent's heavenly court in Northern Plains. But this time, longevity heaven sent orders to unite the Huang Jin tribes. All of the righteous path super forces are to attack Baizu tribe. This is a unified battle of the Huang Jin tribes against outside forces. The collapse of 88 True Yang building, the creation of Baizu tribe, as well as Chu sect, have stepped on longevity heaven's bottom line constantly. This time, longevity heaven will definitely not ask for my help. Yao Huang is their only choice. Prince Feng Xian analyzed it perfectly. Lu Yao's eyes shone, but she did not understand. Then why did Gong tribe's goo immortal bring the longevity edict here personally? Prince Feng Xian's eyes shined with cold light. These people from Gong tribe are trying to falsely use that authority, to use the longevity edict and deceive me into helping them. You also know about Gong tribe's objective. They are still dreaming of becoming the #1 righteous path force. So that's it. Then we will not meet them. Lu Yao smiled, showing her pearly white teeth. She had a beautiful smile, like the image of spring that it was all according to what Prince Feng Xian had analyzed. Several days later, the longevity edict was passed on to all of the Huang Jin tribes, eventually ending up in Yao Huang's hands. Yao Huang used his old hands to receive the longevity edict, sighing deeply to himself. This longevity edict still ended up with me after all. To one who heard him mumbling, it may have seemed that Yao Huang was aware all along. The truth was that it was an obvious situation. Heavenly Lord Baizu was a rank 8 goo immortal. If the Northern Plains righteous path forces wanted to deal with Baizu tribe, they would need to have a rank 8 goo immortal to deal with Heavenly Lord Baizu. On the surface, out of the rank 8 goo immortals in Northern Plains, other than Heavenly Lord Baizu, old ancestor Shui, who was in the demonic path, 5 Elements Grandmaster, was a lone immortal and had invaded longevity heaven. He was already trapped inside Calamity Luck Altar. Only Prince Feng Xian and Yao Huang were left. Prince Feng Xian's identity was the biggest problem. He did not have the Huang Jin bloodline. He was just a son-in-law of Gong tribe. If they relied on Prince Feng Xian and defeated Baizu tribe, would that not prove 5 Elements Grandmaster's point? The great Huang Jin bloodline, descendants of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, could not rely on themselves to defeat a strong foe. Thus, for longevity heaven, there was only one person they could choose, the rank 8 refinement path goo immortal Yao Huang. In fact, Yao Huang really did not want to involve himself in this mess. Currently, he was very busy trying to refine resurrection from the dead immortal goo. He was severely interrupted. Yao Huang was in a bad mood. Ping. A soft sound echoed. Yao Huang threw the longevity edict onto the table casually. I should go talk to Heavenly Lord Baizu first. Yao Huang sighed, storing his immortal aperture and going to the outside world of Northern Plains, flying into White Heaven. A moment later, Heavenly Lord Baizu, who received Yao Huang's invitation, hesitated for a moment before deciding to meet with Yao Huang and discuss the matter. The 2 rank 8 goo immortals met in White Heaven and talked in secret. In fact, they were friends. Long ago, Heavenly Lord Baizu had considered creating Baizu tribe. Thus, as a lone cultivator, he got very close to Yao Huang. Heavenly Lord Baizu wanted to be in the righteous path, But there were only two righteous path Gu immortals. Prince Fengxian did not originate from the righteous path. He stayed by himself, and his relationship with Gong tribe was not good. Heavenly Lord Baizu could only have a goal of getting close to Yao Huang. Afterwards, Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang had fought against Old Ancestor Shui Hu together. Even though they lost and caused Old Ancestor Shui Hu's reputation to surge, this matter had brought Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang closer together. Thus, when they met, there was no animosity or anger. "Friend, what do you think?" Yao Huang smiled and asked. "Sai, it has gotten to this point. I'll tell you the truth, I did not expect this." Heavenly Lord Baizu waved his hand. He also felt very gloomy about the situation. His motive was very simple. He wanted to take down Hei Fan Grotto Heaven. But to think that Chu Du's battle strength and wits exceeded Heavenly Lord Baizu's expectations, it caused the situation to change and worsen. Heavenly Lord Baizu could not back out, among which the rumors and threats regarding Heavenly Lord Baizu in Northern Plains Gu Immortal World were all spread by Chu Du and his subordinates. Heavenly Lord Baizu was aware of this. Anyone with a functioning brain knew. But now, in fact, Heavenly Lord Baizu and the culprit of the rumors, Chu Du, had allied to deal with the righteous path forces that he did not want to face. Heavenly Lord Baizu was also very helpless in the progression of this matter. Yao Huang saw Heavenly Lord Baizu's expression and deeply understood his feelings. Yao Huang pointed and smiled. "Old friend, do you understand now? It is not easy to be the leader of a righteous path force. In many situations, even as rank 8 Gu immortals, we cannot act freely. I used to envy your lone cultivator status. I also urged you not to create any righteous path force. Do you feel it now?" "I feel it. But I have worked hard for so long. It was not easy to get such results. I am not willing to give up just yet," Heavenly Lord Baizu said openly. Yao Huang was silent before saying, "I do not want to interfere in this matter either, but I cannot help it. Longevity Heaven's token is already in my hands." Heavenly Lord Baizu sighed deeply. He felt gladness, but also sorrow in his heart. He was glad that his relationship with Yao Huang was close enough. But the sad thing was, he and Yao Huang were friends, but they had to fight. Even as rank 8 Gu immortals, they could not decide this for themselves. Heavenly Lord Baizu sighed deeply. "Then we can only fight now." Yao tribe waved his hand. "This is an eventual matter. We are not in a rush now. Even though I am in charge of this matter, Yao tribe is just one of the righteous path forces. I still have Longevity Heaven overseeing it. They are watching patiently now. Even if we fight, we cannot resolve this matter. In my opinion, we should let these juniors fight first and rile them up." Heavenly Lord Baizu pondered and nodded. "Then in that case, let's decide a date for a martial competition." "All right," Yao Huang thought. "Bloodplane is a good choice of location. How about there?" "That is good." Heavenly Lord Baizu agreed instantly. The two Gu immortals talked for a while, deciding the matter of the Bloodplane martial competition. Before leaving White Heaven and going back to their tribes, they gave their respective instructions on the Bloodplane martial competition to AT once. Northern Plains Gu Immortal World went into commotion again that a new storm was brewing. It faintly swept through the entire Northern Plains Gu Immortal World. The Gu Immortals from the Huang Jin tribes were rubbing their hands together in anticipation. They felt that they had sufficient strength to suppress the allied forces of Baizu tribe and Chu sect. They had high morale that in terms of foundation, the allied forces of Chu sect and Baizu tribe could not match the alliance of the righteous path forces, but they could seek help. Heavenly Lord Baizu was from the lone cultivator faction, while Chu Du was a famous expert in the demonic path. There was still some time until the competition. News of the Bloodplane martial competition had spread. Even Central Continent and the other regions heard of it. Both sides were gathering strength. The righteous path Huang Jin tribes were choosing carefully, only picking the elites, while Baizu tribe and Chu sect started recruiting for experts to help them, making great preparations.